Minnesota. She thinks I need a microphone, but I have 13 kids. So the kids' happiest day was when I catch a cold or have laryngitis and couldn't talk, and so then they thought that was just great. And I still motion and boss them around. So while she's getting the microphone, I'll just introduce myself by saying thank you for inviting me here. Thank you for this wonderful retreat today. I will get more out of it than you will, I promise you, just preparing and just being here. And the welcoming I get from your wonderful committee of people headed by Yolanda and Betty in the kitchen. Once in a while she probably will peek through, but Betty and Claudia, who I had a chance to get to know a little bit, and Father Jason, it's really a privilege to be here. You have a beautiful church. I flew into Minot, but I didn't get a chance to see any of the churches, but I know they're beautiful there too. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Here she comes with tell me if you really think I need that microphone.
Yes.
Okay, I need it. All right. Hopefully I will. Okay, thank you. Can I stick it to me or something? Okay. Can you hear me? Is this better? Okay, great. Now I get a little Geiger counter. Well, this is not going to be a whole retreat day of pro-life. I like to talk about family life because that is pro-life. And we Catholics know that. And we're being bombarded by anti-life things that make us think that the family, the nuclear family circle, I'm talking like a real legitimate husband and wife and children. That's what is the backbone of any nation. If that falls apart, the nation falls apart. So I'd like to give a little commercial message first so that you will empty my table that I brought, and then I don't have to carry it back on with the suitcase with me. For those of you who have a church, I don't know if it's here at Stanley or wherever you are, I would really hope that you pick up one of our posters. This says pregnant, or know someone who is. Call us for free confidential counseling, get information including adoption or post-abortion assistance. We have saved 2 babies by our literature or poster in the back of 2 churches that we know of for sure, one on the Iowa border, one in Minnesota. So I hope you will help us post. I brought some extra ones, and I hope you will take them back to your church and post them. Now the other, I think the left side of the table is all free, grab whatever you can. Actually, you can take the stuff that we're asking a donation to, but you're Catholic, you'll feel guilty after a while. Even my books, I don't get proceeds for anything. I don't take a salary with Pro-Life Across America. I get a speaking stipend, and that's all we have. But our calendars, we want you to take them back because every single month shows you one of the billboards that all of our supporters made possible. And by the way, the babies on these billboards are all babies of supporters. So that's how they get on the billboard. They take the pictures and send them to us, and if they're, we get a sign-off from the parents, permission from the photographer and the parents, we use them. So these are free. Please, take some, pass them to your relatives as well. Let me see what else. We have our little bag. I want you all to be bag ladies. Do you have anybody coming up that would like a gift? These are fabulous little bags, and they're very, very sturdy, too. And it just so happens that we're celebrating their 30th anniversary. That's why we came up with these little bags, and every one of them both sides show the billboards that we've been doing for the last 30 years. I never thought this was possible, and I'll tell you more about our organization later on today. We're not going to talk about that first. We have our newsletter. We have some information. We're one of the few organizations in the United States that takes a strong position. We're not Catholic, but we are in line with Christian principles and Catholic teaching. And so we have material on the truth about Planned Parenthood. Every church should have that, to tell the truth about Planned Parenthood. Once in a while I run into pro-lifers who say, well, they do some good things. That would be like saying Hitler built some good highways in Germany, but he killed 6 million people. Little fax cards, these just came off the printer. They're very expensive for us, but we hope that you'll take them. You can carry it in your purse, your wallet. This one is very good, especially for Catholic people who don't know. Contraception, abortion in disguise. Women wouldn't be contraceptive if they knew what it did to their body, but also that it has a potential to kill a little baby. if the woman is conceiving at the time. So these are the kinds of things. There are other materials too, even just explaining the Virginia, New York proposed laws that just came out. This is a little article I wrote for one of the Catholic papers. And again, these are all free. Take them. Pass them around to your churches. And then, of course, we brought some bumper stickers. I don't know how many we have, but you're welcome to take these. It's my little gift to those of you who would give up your day to come. We also have some little rosary pouches. If you want to give something to your kids, your grandkids, your next door neighbor, or whatever, they can carry them in a little pro-life pouch. Of course, all the proceeds go to where, Pro-Life Across America. Well, I started writing books because I was angry. Have you ever done something that you didn't think you could do? But I was so mad when feminists started writing in newspapers about how what you should do is get a real career and either don't have any kids at all or stick your kids in daycare and do something meaningful. Well, I was knee-deep in diapers at the time. I think I had 4 or 6 kids. So I thought, well, I got to write an article and say that those of us who are Catholic moms see this as a vocational call. And I was so surprised when there's really a communist pinko press that's in Minneapolis here. It's so liberal left. But they sent me $100. I thought I would have told them that for free. So I started writing more in both Christian, Lutheran, Baptist, Catholic, and including secular papers. And then an editor called me and said, why don't you put your material into a book? I never thought of writing a book. Well, the first book is out of print. This is the second one called Parenting with Prayer. If you have kids, grandkids, a next door neighbor, maybe you're going to a baby shower or Christmas or birthday or something like that. I didn't write anything that the Catholic Catechism doesn't say, but as I was speaking, I was running into more young Catholic women who said, gee, I wish I could tell my kids about the sacramentals, but I never learned it. Or I'm trying to explain what the difference between heaven, hell, and purgatory to my kids, and I wish I had a simple explanation. Well, I kind of write the humor and prayer, so this is Marianne's version of the Catholic Catechisms with some of my kids' drawings, and now some of you probably all had perfect kids, but I mean, like I had my son Tony, who used to collect trouble for a hobby, and I mean, he told me one time that, I don't need to go to confession today, Saturday, but I don't need to go because I don't have any sins to confess. I said, you know what? I will make you a list. And then I'm going to make you lunch for you and Father, because you're going to be there for this one. So at any rate, it's a simple way to explain why we need confession and the sacraments, the saints, the corporal and spiritual works of mercy. As I say, these are fun gifts. I have a Protestant friend who ran a bookstore, and she called me and she says, your books always make me laugh. I want to sell them, but I'm afraid to sell them in my bookstore. We're a Christian bookstore, and I said, well, just put them in a brown wrapper and put them under the house. But I promise if you're not Catholic, you won't turn Catholic for at least a week after you read it. So then the second one came out, people said, well, that's fine if they're small, but what about just getting along and with a big family? What do you do about cooking big meals? How do you take them on vacation? How do you relate to some relatives who don't believe what you believe? So this is the second book called Building a Legacy of Love. In fact, I've got some recipes in there. I went to Wisconsin to give a talk, and one of the gals that invited me said, I like your recipes best of all. And they're just mom and pop hot dish. We Midwesterners, we live on hot dishes, and if you've got a bunch of kids, you figure out how to stretch it. I had a friend who had 17 kids, and I said, I don't know what I just did. We ended up with 2 kids coming in at the same time. So we went from 4 to 6 kids all at once, and I said, I've never cooked for this many or done laundry for this many. And she had 17 kids, and she was, Kuharski, you worry about the small things. Just add more rice and more noodles. Lastly, this is the latest book that came out, and it's called Prayers for Life. And it's really the pro-life, and anybody, any faith. I quote in my favorite saints from St. Teresa, St. John the 23rd, St. John Paul II, all sorts of different little saints who talk about life, including an abortionist who became Catholic, Dr. Bernard Nathanson. He and I were on the same speaking circuit, and I got to know him a little bit, and I tell his story of conversion in here. And so anyway, we're praying for health personnel, we're praying for end of life, those who are sick, those who are infirm, not just about abortion, but it's a wonderful little daily thing. You could leave it in a chapel or whatever. And so, again, and these all sell for $10 each. I don't get any money. All proceeds go to Pro-Life Across America. Lastly, I once in a while do go on speaking circuits. I have some older CDs. I think they ask, this one says $9, but don't pay attention. They're all, we ask $8. But again, I'd rather have you have them. If you weren't prepared to, make a donation and get something, take it anyways. You can always send us a donation later, or you can pray for us. Then I have two of the latest. I was just in Helena, Montana 2 weeks ago and gave a couple of talks on family life, and then again on what do we do when loved ones leave the faith. But these are some other ones about talking to our kids about the saints and the sacraments. And so anyways, we ask a donation of $8, and again, that all goes for Pro-Life Across America. Lastly is our little magnet. This one, you think, well, what's the big deal? It goes on the refrigerator with so many other things. Believe it or not, we helped a young university student who was away from home for the first time. She came from a very good family. In fact, she was the oldest of 6 children that were homeschooled. Away from home for the first time, met a young man in college, made a very serious mistake, pregnant, getting pressure from her roommates, from the college counselor, and everybody else to have an abortion. She's visiting her roommate's family and spots this magnet on the refrigerator. Goes back to her dorm and calls us. I said, would you be open to talk to somebody about even adoption? We got to talking. She said, yes. Well, we helped her get the medical care, doctor, the whole thing, adoption. Somebody in Minnesota is a proud parent of this young lady's beautiful little baby. In fact, her mother wrote me the most sweet letter of thanks for what we did to get her daughter back on course. And they all said goodbye to this little baby as they made an adoption plan for her first grandchild. So magnets too can save babies. It's amazing what the Holy Spirit will do, not just billboards, but even magnets. So that's my commercial. I'm sorry it took so long. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Marianne Kuharski. I came from Northeast Minneapolis. To tell you the truth, I never thought I wanted to get married or have kids. My goal, and I was kind of a mixed-up teenager, came from kind of a volatile. I was adopted. I came from an orphanage when I was 9 months old. My mother used to just get so upset when I would say I came from an orphanage, and she said, don't tell anybody that. That just doesn't sound good at all. I said, well, Mom, what am I supposed to say? And she says, tell them some nice nuns were taking care of you. Now, if my husband were here, he'd say it took him 9 months to find someone that wanted her. At any rate, I was very privileged to be adopted into this wonderful Italian family, but it was very volatile. They had a lot of fighting and things going on. So I thought, my mom said, well, this is normal. And I thought, if this is normal, I don't want to get married, and I think I'll just have a career and get a convertible and see the world. So I did have my career, and I bought my convertible, and then I met my Polish prince. And got married, gave up, it was my first baby, and gave up the convertible, of course. And then, of course, the first baby I stayed at home and started taking care of kids. And the first thing that happened to me was I never realized how nuts I would be about my baby. Anybody feel like that? All of a sudden you fall in love like you never thought possible. So that's what I want to talk about this morning, is family life and what it does to us. And I'd like you to just shut your eyes if you promise not to fall asleep, because this should be our theme, you and I don't care if you're a mom in the home or your grandma or your favorite aunt or godmother, single person, we need you too, unless you quit breathing. Families really need you. We need your prayers, we need your witness of faith, we need your love, we need your attention. We need you to cheer us. Cheer us on when nobody else in the whole world will. So those single people, to me, in my life, I don't think we could have gotten by with it if it wasn't for the witness, sometimes the very silent witness of an aunt who's going to church with, or an uncle who's not laying in bed and drunk or whatever it is, but is going to church, and our boys and girls saw that as they were growing up. Neighbors, whatever. Okay, let's write just into this is the scripture from Matthew. Our Lord tells you, you are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Men do not light a lamp and then put it under a bushel basket. They set it on a stand where it gives light to all in the house. Now, he didn't say the Senate. You can open your eyes now. He didn't say the UN. He didn't say the White House. He said the house. Now, if you were like me when I had a bunch of kids, I didn't think my kids were paying any attention to me at all. That's why I'm Italian, so that's why I yell or repeat things, Oh, I forgot to tell you about the kids. So I married my Polish prince. We had 2 kids born to us, and I talked my wonderful husband into, let's try adoption. And we thought there was an overpopulation problem at the time or whatever, and we just thought maybe we could help out some little kids. So we put in for special needs adopted kids. We had no idea that they were going to do more for us than we did for them. So we ended up with, as the kids would say, 7 by tummy, 6 by airport or adoption, because we had 4 from foreign countries. So we had 1 from the Philippines, 2 from Vietnam, 1 black Vietnamese, 1 full Vietnamese, 1 Mexican American, 1 black American, and 1 from Calcutta, India. So the reason why you saw me sitting in the front pews is because I'm so used to it. When I had kids, we would take up the first 2 pews. In fact, the usher would save those pews for us because, I don't know about you, but when you've got a bunch of kids, you're always late. At least I was always late. We'd rush in at the last minute. I think for a long time in St. Charles Borromeo, which is northeast Minneapolis, where my family and I grew up and lived, I think they thought we were part of the procession, you know, the altar kid boy would come down, you know, and then Father come down, and then it's Marianne and John and their kids, and we pile into these, you know, pews. And I found that when you sit in the front, the kids can see, and they're much better behaved than when you can sit way in the back. So we had, the mailman used to call us the United Nations. The school register called us a headache. We'd have 6 or 7, 8 kids in the same, you know, school at the same time. People sometimes say, oh, what does your husband do? He must be rich. No, I was an at-home mom. We never had a new car. We budgeted very, very well. He worked for the county, so don't get rich on a county employee. But we lived on secondhand clothes. I always say we had 3 sets of bunk beds. We put the bedwetters and thumbsuckers in one area. We put the adolescents, the kids that had their locks in another area, you know. We used to have people, pretty soon we had a reputation. We were a block and a half from St. Charles, and people would drop off bags of clothes. Some of them would have labels on them. I mean, like they were brand new, never used. And my husband and I both would wear, you know, if it fit us and we liked it, we'd wear it. The kids would all wear it. You know, my mother would get so embarrassed. She really didn't want me having all these kids, and didn't thought it was. She says, you're just going to look like a rag, you know. So that made me all the more determined. I'm going to dress up, and these kids are going to dress up, you know. So we'd go over to Grandma's house, and my mother would see this little outfit, my daughters in these little dresses, and she'd go, that is the cutest dress, honey. Where did you get this? And Carrie would say, from the bag. And my mom would say, don't tell people the bag. You tell them J.C. Penney's or Macy's, but don't say bag. So we had a lot of fun. We lived a little differently than other people, but I learned a lot of lessons. One of the first things I learned that we want to tell our kids and our grandkids is that my pastor used to say this. He would say, parents are the first missionaries of their children. That used to scare me to death. I'd sit in the front row and I'd think, I hope my kids have amnesia. I hope they forget, because I'm always yelling and screaming and I got all these rules and regulations. You know what? My kids are all grown. And they don't remember the yelling or the rules as much as they remember the fun times. You know, like when the kid didn't stir the powdered milk and they poured over their cereal and there were clumps of milk because my slow learner daughter forgot to stir, you know. So they would take turns. At any rate, little things like that. You know, the kids would pay more attention to the fun things you had as a big family than all these rules and regulations. So parents are the first missionaries of their children. I learned that. The next lesson I learned was from God himself when he said, love never divides, it always multiplies. I always feel bad when I meet someone who said, well, I would never have more than 2 children. I couldn't divide my love that way. And I fell for that when I was a young mom. I remember driving out to the hospital to expecting our second baby. And I'd say to my husband, oh, I don't think I'll ever be able to love this baby the way I love Chrissy. You feel like, you understand what I'm talking about. And then this bald-headed little thing comes out, looks like a Pollock, just like my husband, you know, looking at this baby. My son, Tim, I'm like, oh, all of a sudden this kid endears you in a way completely separate from the little girl. Am I right? Yeah. And the same thing when the adopted kid came, oh my gosh, we had this. The first one was a little Filipino. That was okay, but when our little black son came, my husband called me, he was giving him a bath, and he said, get in here, wait to see this. You know, you got this white porcelain tub, and this little guy, if he shuts his eyes, it looks like a closet, you know, it's just I thought, this is going to take us a long time, you know. Your love just poured, and he didn't speak a word of English, he was 5.5 years old, you know, that one. It was the most fun thing. Your love expands, it never divides, it always multiplies. God gives you the love you didn't even think you'd have possible. And that's part of family life. Well, I decided my goal for my kids was different than I thought it was going to be. Don't you feel bad for these actresses that just, they might go to jail for paying money to get their kid to Yale or Harvard or whatever it is? That's not our goal as Catholic moms and grandmas and aunts and godmothers, is it? Our number one goal is to get our kids to heaven. I used to tell my kids that all the time. I want to brainwash them. So that when they say, can I go to this movie? I'd say, well, is it out of line with your number one goal? You spoiled everything. You'd say, all right, can I sleep over? I said, I don't think that's going to help me with your number one goal. Sleepover. Oh, you and all your rules. I tell them, eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor has it so much as dawned on man what God has prepared for those who love the Lord. So I tell my kids, just think of the best party we ever had. Heaven's better. Think of the best Christmas gift we ever had. Heaven's better. Think of the most fun vacation, Disneyland. Well, don't think of that because we're not going. But gives you an idea, Heaven is better and it's forever. It's not just for 5 minutes or for this. It's forever. And if we really think, if we believe that we can't even imagine, the scripture says we can't even imagine it's going to be so much fun. Don't we want all our kids there? Don't we want our sisters or brothers, even the ones, our relatives, even the ones that don't like us or think we're nuts or whatever? Don't we want them all there, even the neighbors? My neighbor put up a 10-foot fence. He said, you people belong in a farm, Just pray for good old Bill, He was kind of an entertaining alcoholic. He's dead now, but, we have to pray for them. We want them to go to heaven too. We want everyone. Because it's supposed to be so wonderful. So we want to share that wonderfulness. So we want to tell our kids that's our number one goal. And Mother Teresa has a wonderful saying. She says that we're not here to solve the problems of the world, but to point to the glory of God. Isn't that wonderful? So we're here in our own way. You within your own circle of family or neighbors or whoever you have power to influence, just by your witness. Not hitting them over the head or preaching, but just by your witness. We're here to point to the glory of God. Sometimes just one person can make a difference. I had a girl who called me one time and she says, I'd like to speak for your organization. I said, okay. She said, did you know I had a baby and I placed my baby for adoption? I said, no, I didn't know that. She said, yeah, I'd like to tell you my story. I said, well, it's because you were raised Catholic? And she says, no, I wish I could say it was. It wasn't. I said, well, what's the story? And she says, I had it made. I don't know if you know Minnesota, but she says, I was an Edina kid. Edina is what we call one of our wealthiest suburbs. And she says, I had it made. It was just my brother and I, my mom and dad. Then my mother got cancer, and she died within a year. And my world started falling apart when my brother went to college and was killed in a car accident a year later. And then my father had a girlfriend, and I moved out. And I made so many mistakes. I got pregnant by a married man who was my boss. I said, that sounds kind of tough. Did you think of having an abortion? She said, I couldn't possibly have an abortion because of my grandma. I said, was your grandma there to help you and guide you? She says, no, she wasn't. But when I was 16 years old, I went to Grandma's cabin one summer, and I could hardly wait to get out and lay on the dock so I could come back to Edina High School with a tan better than anybody else. And all of a sudden, Grandma starts pulling out all these brochures and saying that she's saying the rosary every day to stop abortion in America because it's so horrid what's happening. She said I'd never heard of it. But all I know is my grandma was praying every day to end abortion. And when I got pregnant by that married man, all I could think of was that Grandma is praying. And I couldn't disappoint Grandma. And Grandma saved a baby's life because of her witness. I always think maybe she was a little Italian, because Italians can't keep things to themselves. You got to share it and talk about it. So that's our witness. Now, speaking of marriage and family life, you and I are going to be cheerleaders for the people in our family. I'm no longer having babies. My kids are now. And I want them to know we cheerlead them. We may be the only one that tells them, good for you, we're praying for you. We hope you have, I can't say you have more kids, but I will. They know I do. But I want to just share with you what our Holy Father, Pope John Paul II, wrote about the sacredness and beauty of family life. And that's why we Catholics won't fit in with the culture, because we look at marriage and family life so differently. And he says, the church sees husbands and wives as co-creators with God. I mean, imagine that. We're co-creators. And he says, in affirming that the spouses as parents cooperate with God the Creator in conceiving and giving birth to a new human being, we're not speaking merely with reference to the laws of biology. No, he says, instead we wish to emphasize that God himself is present in human fatherhood and motherhood quite differently than he's present in all other instances of begetting on earth. Thus, he says, a man and a woman joined in matrimony, and that means that the sacred matrimony, become partners in a divine undertaking. So when you go home and those young moms go home and wives go home and snuggle with their husband, they're involved in divine undertaking. Is that beautiful? That's so beautiful. We want our kids to know that. So the contraception thing, we have to encourage them to know about natural family planning, to know that this is part of God's plan, and that it's not something that is just, well, maybe, okay, we'll have this kid and no more. My husband used to just hate that. We would be filled with so many questions. People would say, well, is that it for you? Is that all you're going to have? After a while, just to tease him, I'd say, no, we're just getting started. The 13 kids in the orgasm, my husband would say, yeah, this guy came up to me at this meeting and said, so how did your wife's pregnant again? How did that happen? And my husband says, if they don't know by now, I'm not telling them. But we joke about it, but it isn't funny to these young couples. I mean, more young couples today who think this. They're almost afraid. I had a young couple who invited me to Faribault, Minnesota to give a talk, and they said, we'd like to talk to you afterwards. Darling couple, parents of 5 little kids. And they said, we're expecting number 6, and you're the first to know. I'm the first to know. I've never met him before. And they're sharing this wonderful news with me. And she started crying. She said, we're both afraid to tell our families. They had big families, but they told us, time to get on the pill, don't horse around, we've done enough, there's enough for you. And I can see where parents do worry about our kids. They're taking on a lot, or it might be hard. I think about my daughter who's got 6 kids, and I think, oh gosh, this is so hard. And I'm thinking, what am I talking about? I have 13, She'll manage, mothers do, God gives us the grace. But these poor couples, they're afraid, and why? Because no one's cheering them on. Go up to someone in your church, if you see that she's pregnant or just had a baby, and say, thank you. I'll say a little prayer for you. Those first months are kind of hard or whatever, but, thank you for having that little baby. And you can believe some of them will get tears in their eyes and say, oh my gosh, that's so kind. And they are so thrilled somebody recognizes that they're cooperating with God. They're part of God's plan. So to me, that's what we want to do there. We're being brainwashed in this country to think there's an overpopulation problem. And I'd just like to share some things with you so that you can help me and help us tell others, especially the young couples in your life, that it's the biggest lie that you can come up with. This is from the Wall Street Journal, and it's called America's Baby Bust. Now, it was written in, I'm trying to think, where's the date on this? This is 2013. They were talking about we're low in children in the United States of America. That was 2013. The Wall Street Journal just came out with an article right before I left. In fact, I could hardly wait I cut it out before my husband had a chance to read it. I said, I'll tell you about it later. It's called Baby Bust Threatens the Growth, and this is the Wall Street Journal. This is 2014. Again, talking about the growth in America is being stifled because we aren't having babies. This is the Star Tribune. Less money, fewer kids born. U.S. birth rate. Again, this is 2010. But I want to show you the latest, which I can't find. Well, I'll go on about other countries. Europe is a dying nation. Italy, Germany, Scandinavia. There's an article about the big Italian family becomes an image of the past as the birth rate falls. Italy may place a tax on single residents because they can't. This is the mayor said that they've only had 1 baby in their town in 4 years, and they're trying to figure out how to resume get the Italians to have children. This is France. It pays to be fertile in France. This is from the Washington Times. They're paying a year's free rent subsidy and a stipend to any couples that will have children in France, married or not, because they're so low in population. Again, baby bust leaves aging Spain, worried about its future. This is Spain. This is from the Wall Street Journal, and it says, a Swedish town could give employees paid time off to have sex. Why? Because they need babies and they're not having them. And even China, good old China that once punished and aborted and forcibly aborted and sterilized women has now eased its one-child policy. And what's interesting about China is that the Wall Street Journal just quoted a Chinese couple that's saying many Chinese are reluctant to have more than one child, and guess why? Because they got used to the luxuries that they could afford more and have more if they had less children. So that's what happens when we become real selfish about not wanting to share. Here's Japan. Don't want kids? How about $5,000? Japan is paying $5,000 for couples to have children because they have no children. And again, slowing birth rates in Europe. And I could go on and on in different countries, including the Philippines. The poor people in the Philippines, through U.S. aid, sorry to say, and United Nations population, the poor mothers there, some of them were receiving what they thought was vaccines or protect, and it turned out that they were being sterilized. So no wonder that sometimes we become known as the big brother because we're forcibly doing things to other countries. This is San Francisco's kids are vanishing. It's a whole article about how they're having less and less children in even the San Francisco area, the schools and everything. California, which has one of the world's 10 largest economies, recently released data showing the lowest birth rate since the Great Depression. So something's happening. They're doing a marvelous job of convincing the world that we're overpopulated, and we have to let them know it's not true. And it's part of a grand scheme to get people to think that they shouldn't have. This is the Wall Street Journal. U.S. birth rate in 2018 hit 32-year low. So it's talking about how many decades we have been below replacement level. Now, I'm not telling people to go home and have babies just so we can have citizens. Thank you. What I'm saying is that there's a direct attempt to denigrate the role of family life and parenting and the goodness of children in this country. And we have to know that it's a lie. So shortly, I'm looking at my time here, and Yolanda was kind enough to give me some clues on when I'm going to go overtime, so I don't want to do that. I'll just tell you the 5 rules that we had when I was raising my kids. And it worked for us, and I hope it works for the families you know. Pray together, play together, eat together, work together, and discipline is love. And I'll just go through them one at a time. Pray together. Now, if your kids are out of the home and you've got grandkids coming, pray with them. I don't care if they're not in the faith. This is your house, your rule. You're the grandmas and grandpas. We can get by with a lot of things when we're our age, can't we? And it's really, kids love, they want to know about prayer. They do. They want to know, even if they're coming from family life that's not quite in the prayer mode that you and I wish they were in. We can set that example. Pray together. Take them to church. I always tell young couples, take the kids to church. You can have a long time with God when the kids grow up. But right now they need to see us on our knees, and probably the best lesson we have is for that father to be on his knees. And I always tell moms who are single parents, if you don't have a husband that can be that witness to your child, pray to St. Joseph to have him pray for a missing spouse, maybe a grandfather or an uncle or a neighbor, somebody who's Catholic that can set the role model for that boy and that girl. You know, there's nothing more powerful in a kid's vision than to see this great big man with his big voice kneeling down and worshiping someone bigger and more powerful than him, God himself. So pray together, play together. Now, honestly, even with 13 kids, you can take them on a little vacation, or you can go tenting, you can go to a park. There's so many things you can do. You know, my husband used to say it's the kids' vacation in our trip, because we pile everybody into our 15-passenger van, and, you know, maybe we'd eat one meal out a day, and otherwise we'd picnic in picnic benches or parks or whatever. But the kids never forgot that we saw more sights. We've come to South Dakota several times to see the presidents and to go to Wall Drug, or we go to Wisconsin Dells. Oh, I hated that place, but yeah. And the kids would save their paper route or their babysitting money, so it was part of their vacation to play together. The love is a 4-letter word, T-I-M-E. They know who loves them when you spend time with them. The most powerful thing that we need to do is eat with our kids. Now, do you think I want to eat with 13 kids? I don't think I ever sat at a table. We had a table longer than my display table. And John would be at one end and I'd be at another, and they all had their little spots. The kids that sat behind the wall, next to the wall, usually the little kids, and then the high schoolers that would be on one end, I don't think I ever sat sat down to a warm meal by the time I got there. And I don't think I ever sat down at a meal with all my kids and somebody didn't spill milk. I have one daughter, she's a slow learner. I tell you, I got to the point where I like to just go spill it first so we can start eating. But there's something sacred that happens at dinner time. Something sacred that I can't even explain. Something powerful. You're not going to talk about discipline or who's grounded or why I'm so mad at you. Sometimes I swore I was going to push my teeth right through my job because I'm still so mad at this kid and what he did. But at dinner time, you don't. You don't talk about that. You talk about the incidentals of the day. Or some little kid, one kid was so mad at me because I had all these rules and regulations and he was a teenager and he thought he knew everything, you know. And then he'd look up at his little brother because he'd be saying, Timmy, how come you're not laughing at what Angie just said? It makes everybody laugh. You can't, that's what family life does. It brings you into reality. And if you think I'm kidding, here's how important eating together is. Of course, this is Minnesota, and you know how liberal we are. We give money away to anybody who shows up. I'm not kidding. Okay, here's Carver County in Minnesota. Recently paid 5,500 couples to eat together with their children. They tried to do it 3 times a week, and it was too much for the couple, so they did it 2 times a week. Imagine, they paid money. That's Carver County money. Why? To find out if it would bring the families closer together. Here's an article I actually found on a plane coming back from something, and it says, is there a simple way to keep my family happy and healthy? And here's the answer. Try this. Studies have shown that kids who eat dinner with their families do better in school, feel more socially connected to their parents, have better peer relationships, and are less likely to try drugs and alcohol. Believe it or not. That's not the only one. Here's another one from another food magazine. The family that eats together bonds. And almost is like Father Peyton, the family that prays together stays together. The family eats together bonds. That is so true. It brought it home to me one day when it was Friday and I decided we were going to go back to meatless Fridays because it was cheaper. And so I would make tuna hot dishes, or I'd make, egg salad, tuna salad sandwiches. So this particular Friday, my high school kids are upstairs. They brought some friends home, and I'm making my canned tomato soup in a big pot, and then I'm making scrambled egg sandwiches. So Carrie, my daughter, is a freshman in high school, and she calls out and says, Mom, Jessica and Katie want to know if they can eat over. And I said, I called up and I said, honey, tonight is Friday night. We're just having tomato soup and scrambled egg sandwiches. Tell them, and these girls were from rich areas. I don't know why my kids couldn't pick 4 poor kids, but at any rate. So I thought, what scrambled egg sandwiches and tomato soup, that's not much. So she called out, she says, they don't care, they still want to eat over. So I said, okay, so I'm putting on more scrambled eggs, and more on the sandwiches, and putting in another can of Campbell's soup, So they come down and eat. Now I have to eat standing up because they took my spot, and so they're scrunched in, And they think it's just great, all these kids together, and everybody's talking and chattering and everything. So nothing else came from it for about a week, and pretty soon the phone rings and I answer it, and they go, hey, Mrs. K. I think all the young neighbors and kids called us Mrs. K because they couldn't pronounce Kuharski. And I said, hi, honey, what's new? Because I didn't know who the kid was. So she says, hi, Mrs. K, it's Katie. And I said, hi, honey, how are you? And she says, fine. And she says, guess what I did last night? I said, I can't imagine. What did you do last night? And she says, I made scrambled egg sandwiches, and my parents and I ate together. Now, this is a little girl in high school from a gated community, very wealthy family, and they ate together. What's wrong with us? It's much more fun to eat alone, or to read a paper. I can actually read maybe a page or a chapter of a book. That's much nicer for me, much quieter. But to be together, there's something, and there's no accident when you think about it. What was the first miracle? First miracle was a banquet. And the last one? Last Supper. Our Lord is trying to tell us something. Get those kids at the table and grandkids at the table, and we eat together and we talk, and we can do the grounding and all that other stuff later, Eat together, work together. We had kids that we adopted that came in, and they were older, and and one of them didn't speak English. So now we're out. Saturday was my rule day where no one could go anyplace, so we did all the work in the house, and cleaned and dusted and all that kind of stuff. So my son Charlie had never seen electric lights, he had not seen gas burners, he had not seen washing machines, all that stuff. So we're going slow with him because he doesn't speak English, and I had to get a tutor to help me with that. So in the meantime, now Charlie's came in at about age 5.5. So everybody's got a job at my house. Even if I have to do overkill when you're not there, I make them think they have to be part of this. So in fact, one snot-nosed kid says to me, I think that's the only reason why you adopted us, so we can do all your work. I said, you are the work. There would be no work if it wasn't for you brats. But so now Timmy's in his room vacuuming, all of a sudden I hear him. Timmy's the same age as Charlie. Charlie's a little squatty Vietnamese black, and Timmy was, well, he looked like he was swimming in highlights next to Charlie. So Timmy says, Mom, get in here, this kid won't leave me alone. So I've got this old secondhand Electrolux vacuum, and Timmy's trying to vacuum, and Charlie's pulling on the back of the vacuum, and I'm trying to think of what does he want to do, but he can't talk and tell us what it is. So finally I said to Tim, give him the vacuum and see if he does. Pretty soon this kid is smiling and back because he's part of it. He wants to be part of what's going on. I had a friend who adopted a sibling group, and she said, I said, how's it going? We've had them now for about 2 weeks. How's it going? And she says, well, the two younger ones are okay. They seem to be kind of coming around, and they kind of are getting used to the fact that this is their family to stay. But the older one is really giving us a problem. And I think he's about 12. I said, do you have a dishwasher? And she says, yes. I said, don't use it. Give him the job of washing all the dishes. Tell him they won't get done, and they won't get done right unless he does it. Just, oh, kid, he'll break everything. He's very upset, very angry, really very untrusting, very angry. I said, just try it. Just try it. Tell him that's his job, washing dishes. So I talked to her 2 weeks later. I said, how's it going? And she said, well, he's still got some really rough edges. I said, how's his job doing? She says, you know, he takes such pride in washing those dishes. No one else can do this. He hasn't cracked a plate, nothing. We all have to feel a part of something. We're part of this family. Every one of us. Some of us came from farms or things where we knew there was jobs and chores for us to do. Nowadays, the parents enroll them in all these sports and say, gee, they're so tired and they got so much homework. I don't want to give them chores. No, give them a chore. They're part of your family. They want to feel part of that. And then I would say discipline is love. And that's hard to do. But discipline is love. They have to know that I'm so nuts about you. I love you so much that you might get a spanking, or you might get a timeout, or you might, and prove it. Prove it. Reminds me, I have one son, Dominic. He's another one that collected trouble for a hobby. And he would have broken things. He just was a real angry, volatile. He was going to do the opposite of whatever anybody told you to do. So his job would be we had this big deck out in our back, and his job was to scrub the deck. Well, God has such a sense of humor. I had a neighbor that put up the 10-foot wall on one side, another one that chose not to have children on the other side. Nice people, but no children. So one day I'm talking to her, and she comes over and says, I get a kick out of that Dominic and the way he loves scrubbing that deck. I said, yeah, isn't it cute? He likes it. She doesn't know it's his punishment. But it helps him work out the anger. It helps him, and then you can compliment him. You can say, Dominic, what you did was naughty. You should not have hit this kid across the outlet, or whatever it was. But you did do a really good job with the deck, so I want to thank you. I mean, we have to find some goodness that we can give them. So the last thing I'd say as far as kids go is tell your kids, your grandkids, your nieces, nephews, godchildren, I love you. They don't hear that often enough. I love you. I believe in you. Let them know we believe in you. Tell them, I expect great things from you. Most of you would not be here today. You wouldn't be Catholic. You wouldn't be giving up your Saturday and sitting in a church pew. If someone didn't believe in you and expect goodness from you and pulled it out of you, a favorite teacher, a favorite aunt, uncle, a parent, an aunt, somebody that saw something special in you and wanted more from you. Those teachers that you got the maddest at were the ones that pulled the most out of you, right? I expect great things from you. I love you. I believe in you. Bingo, I'm praying for you. I remind me, my son Tim used to come in and say, "Boys, you're going to go to a dance in high school one time." And I said, "It's fine, boys. Just remember the curfew, and also remember I'm praying for you." And he comes back and he says, "Don't pray. You spoil everything." I'm praying for you, and let them know God loves you. God loves you. You have to let them know they have guardian angels, that are praying for them all the time. If they don't hear from us, they won't hear from anybody. And so we have to tell them that. Now, and my kids would get so mad. Sometimes they do something wrong, and they were too big to spank or to have time out. And if I gave them time out, it was never in their room. That's too entertaining. No, I would always be like scrub a floor, scrub a wall, something to work off all that anger. But once in a while, there would be something there, like they're a potty mouth or something. I'd say, okay, I want you to write 100 times, I will not lie, or I will not sass, or whatever it is. So Mother's Day, this was quite a few Mother's Days ago. I'm opening up some cards, and this comes in the mail, and you can see it's on regular school paper here, notebook paper, and I open up, and it's number 1 to 34, I love you, exclamation point. Second page, number 35 to 68, I love you, exclamation point. This is Mother's Day now. Third page, number 69 to 100, I love you, exclamation. And then he writes over there, Happy Mother's Day. I didn't write this to pound it into my head, but it sings rhythmically from my heart, love, Charlie. So once in a while you have to wait a little while to hear if it's getting through to the kids or not. But I used to say to them all the time, I'm not your friend, I'm your mother, right? You probably heard that from your own mothers. But they need to know that. They can always get a friend, but they can't get a mother, someone that loves them. I always say, when they get mad at me, they say, oh, Mom, I say, give me the name of the person that cares more about your soul. If you know someone who cares more about your kid's soul, give them your kid. Because somehow another guy you know, really. Okay, we'll quit for right now. We have question and answer time? Okay, it's time. Now I can be quiet and hear what you have to say or answer any, or we can talk and somebody else can answer any questions that you have. Please feel free to ask. I might not have the answers, but I'll take it. Anybody? I forgot to tell you about my little pen. I want you to all have them. Once in a while, kids do fundraisers for us, and we don't know what to give them in schools. And if they really raise a lot of money, I'll come in with these pens. And we have them specially produced for us. And of course, we ask a donation like we do with everything because it helps our organization. But if you click the pen the first time, it says, Life begins at conception. Click it again, 18 days, baby's heart beats. Click it again, 9 weeks, fingerprints. Click again, 10 weeks, baby can feel. Click again, 12 weeks, baby can smile. Click again, adoption, baby can live. So it's a great little teaching tool. And get them for your kids, your grandkids, your nephews, whatever. The kids love it, and it teaches them at the same time. So anyway, any other questions? Any thoughts on family life? That's okay.
I think you're so lively.
Isn't it terrible? Someone that was dating one of my kids said, I'd like to know where her crack dealer is.
No, it takes a little while for the rest of us to process.
Well, good.
You can get that in a day.
You probably process it, and maybe as the day wears on, too. So, yes?
I had 5 brothers and sisters, and we always ate dinner. And to this day, we laugh at the stuff that we did.
Yeah.
So we're just like a family. And it helps us through one.
It does.
In more ways than one.
Yeah, well, they're eating together, and as I said, we had actually started, we had to do powdered milk because I started telling a little bit about that story, but because we had so many kids, we couldn't keep buying milk that often for that many kids, so we would have powdered milk, and one of the family rules was they would each take turns stirring the milk, and that's the thought that comes to mind because we have one daughter who's slow. She's slow and lazy. That's hard to explain, but I'm not kidding. And so the kids know you have to stir that milk, otherwise it just floats, looks like whatever, bubbles on top. Terrible, not even bubbles, but so when they pour it over oatmeal or cereal, here are these big clots of, and the kids would get so mad, Teresa, to this day they laugh about this because then say, well, why don't you switch jobs? If you know she's always going to do that and she's so lazy, why don't you switch jobs with her? So, are you kidding? She has to take her turn like everyone else. And that's what big families do, you know. I swear it's better than a mafia. It reminds me of the time, it is. One of my daughters, Tina, came up to me one time and she says, you know, I just thought I'd better tell you that Tony's hanging around some really bad dudes. And he's going to get in trouble because these guys, I think he's up to something for this weekend. Just thought I'd tell you. So I went up to Tony and I said, Tony's my Vietnamese son. I said, you know what I need? I need you to help me be with me this weekend to scrub walls and get ready. I'm going to paint the walls in the back room here. And so you're with me this weekend. Ah, who told? He said. He knew right away, you know. I said, your guardian angel told me that you wanted to be close to me and that you needed a little time out to kind of think things over. But my mother used to say, tell me who you go with and I'll tell you who you are. And so I'm not sure who you're going with, but when they don't stop by the house and I don't get a chance to meet them, then I know there's some trouble here. So later on, it was true, by the way, one of the kids, I guess, ended up in some kind of a juvenile reform thing, and another kid was in trouble with the law later on, I guess. And so I went back to my daughter, Tina, and I said, you know, honey, that was really good of you to tell me. You know, you really saved your brother from, he could have been in trouble like these other boys had you not. I mean, you were his guardian angel. And she says, I didn't care about saving him. She says, I figured, why should he get by with anything? We never could. It's the mafia. I didn't care about work. It worked, you know. So thank you for that. That was a good point. Anybody else have any? Yes?
I just wondered if anyone else has noticed that the younger generation seems to it's not that important to sit around a table and eat. They fill their plate and they walk into the living room in front of the big screen TV and they can eat there. I just wondered if anyone else.
And have you all noticed that?
Yes.
Yeah. And it's true. And to be perfectly honest, when you've got a bunch of kids and they're monkeying around or punching each other or whatever, that we would like to have a place that's quiet and let them go watch TV and eat on a tray or whatever. No. Put the phones away, don't answer your own phone, put no screens allowed, no TV, no, little cell phones that they're watching, nothing. And it is vitally important. Once they get used to it, some of the rules that we came up with, we had to do when our kids got a little bigger because we started realizing, hey, if I don't get these kids to bond, I got kids I brought in from other countries and everything else. This is my one shot with them. And the same thing with these parents and grandparents, And we can say, here's what we're going to do now. We heard this silly woman at church give this talk and it made sense to us and we're going to have a new program. Kids they will adjust because they really do want your approval and want your attention. They'd much rather have the attention of the parents and the grandparents or whoever they're with than this fleeting, even if they act like they do, but that is a good point. But it's some of the younger generation, the parents themselves who are so busy, unfortunately, we've made them busy or made them think that that's more important sometimes than just wiping some snot-nosed little kid that, is, and you do get tired as parents, they do get tired, they want a break. And I always say, go to lunch with a friend or go for a walk. Sometimes you come back and go, yeah, I guess I can do this a little longer. But you do need a break as well. So. Any other thoughts on that? I got to read this. I got some wonderful quotes. And this is one from Mother Angelica. She says, in your family, trust your children to God. And that means your grandchildren, your godchildren. Okay. I know the economy is bad and you worry about tomorrow and you worry about your investments. But you only have one investment in the kingdom of heaven. When you have Jesus in your heart, you can do all things and overcome the entire world for yourself and your children, Mother Angelica says. Isn't that wonderful? I just think that's absolutely wonderful. So, that in mind, I don't know if you want to get up and stretch. What's next, Yolanda?
Break. Yeah. Break at 11:15 to 11:30. No, 11:30 to 11:45 is the break.
All right, well, why don't you get up and stretch and you can look around and see, go visit my table and take all the hands. Please take extras for your church, mail it to a friend or whatever. Especially, I have to tell you another influential story. I went to Iowa, and I'm here to tell you, get up, and now I'm telling you something else. But I was invited to go give a talk in Iowa. It was an all-day, it was 2-day kind of seminar, and I used to ask my girls if they'd like to go with one or two of my daughters. It was always kind of fun, and they loved coming, not because they wanted to be with me, but because we got to eat out. We never ate out. When you have 13 kids, you don't eat out rapid. So it was really fun, and then we'd stop at secondhand stores on the way or whatever. And so we went down and I said, now you girls can help me with a table. So we're setting up the table, and I don't know if I brought it along, maybe it's in one of my other talks, but when we first started Pro-Life Across America, I thought, I want us to have a position on chastity. And so I wanted to come up with this brochure And I couldn't, I thought, well, I gotta have something that's eye-catching that the teenagers will look at. So how about if I put different kids' faces on the front of this brochure? And I thought, I need different colors. Oh, I know, I'll just go to my kids' baby books and get, you know, so I got Asian, black, white, blah, blah, blah. And I never told my kids. So I designed this brochure on chastity and dating, it was called. And so I had the kids setting it up, and all of a sudden my daughter, Carrie, who is now a very self-conscious teenager, you know, because she knows everything. And so she's putting the brochures on, and she sees her own picture on the brochure, and she goes, Mother, how could you? You put my picture on this brochure, and you didn't even ask my permission. I said, permission? I own you. She laughs about it now, too. So, my story about that is that same time that we had this talk, in comes this grandmother, and she's holding a bag. And she's coming down all the aisles, and there are several displays of lots of different co-ed groups there, and nurses groups and whatever. And so she gets to my table, and she says, oh, chastity, can I have more than one? And I said, if you need it, you can have all you like. And she says, oh, it's not for me, I'm past that age. And I said, oh, I didn't know there was an age limit to chastity. And she said, oh, it's not for me. She says, you know, I'm a grandmother now. Now, my two daughters are listening, and they're looking at this bag lady going, yeah, this will be mom. This will be mom pretty soon. And so she says, I have these grandkids, and some of them are away at college for the first time. And so I don't get a chance to see them like I used to. But every month I write them a little letter, and I like to have a theme. And next month, guess what the theme is going to be? Chastity. And my kids are rolling their eyes and oh my gosh, this will be my mom for sure. But that grandmother stuck in my mind. I thought, what grandkid is going to want to mess around with sex knowing that grandma's praying for him? Isn't that something? Just a subtle little, I picked this up at a conference, and just remember I love you and I'm praying for you and how's school going. Grandmothers can get by with all kinds of stuff, you know. Don't lose your power. And the same thing with aunts and godparents, so go for it. Anyways, let's get up and take a break. Right? Is that okay?